Thank you for joining us for Crystal Clear Podcast today. Today we have with us the lovely Sara Del Monte, also known as Tutti, as we all call her. Tutti is a professional photographer who specializes in everything having to do with being a woman. Through boudoir photography, Tutti guides women through an immensely powerful photo experience with the goal of not only producing stunning artwork, but also igniting sensuality and confidence in the women she works with. And I have been super blessed to have personal experience with this. So I'm super excited to have you on today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I feel so special.
What do you, I know that you probably get this all the time, but how did you start boudoir? How did you did you just decide to start I'm going to start taking sexy pictures one day? And I know you've done a recent post about this and I read it, but let's fill everyone in because it's just so intriguing to me.
So happy that you started with this, and I was hoping that you would bring this up because I haven't shared the quote unquote real way that I got into boudoir, which was an indirect, I would say, way. The most immediate answer I can give is I did photo school in Madrid after I had graduated from college from the University of Florida, UF. And I had taken a photo course there, and I had helped one of my colleagues' classmates do her self-portrait. And what she really envisioned was something that now is known as boudoir. Mm-hmm. So I helped her through that. And we kind of just had fun and kept shooting. And so I had some photos for my portfolio for my graduation. And so fast forward, graduated, came back to Sarasota, showed everyone my portfolio. Again, not wanting to be a professional photographer because that never crossed my mind. But I showed that portfolio because I was proud. And one of my mom's friends saw it and said, "Oh my gosh, can you do something like this for me so I can give it to my husband?" And I was like, "Of course, I have so much fun shooting." So I did. And then she loved it. And then one of her friends saw it, and it literally just snowballed from there. But the bigger answer that I have not shared is that to me, boudoir is so much more about, as you know, the experience and what the woman feels like at the end of the experience. And that the heart for that I get from my mom, because growing up, I saw my mom not know a stranger. She would talk to people like, I get goosebumps, like she had known them forever. She would offer the shirt off her back to the person at the street light who was selling bananas, in Puerto Rico. She specifically with women has such a natural heart for them to feel beautiful. And so one of the memories I have, many of the memories I have of my mom is, so we are from Puerto Rico. I'm from Puerto Rico, but my mom is from Illinois. And so my mom would have her girlfriends come visit Puerto Rico. And this was when my mom was probably in her 30s. So her girlfriends were in their 30s, probably 5-10 years into their marriage. And they were coming to Puerto Rico to kind of ignite something. Right. They were coming to visit a girlfriend, but also to just feel alive again. And my mom, I remember, gave that language to me from that early on. Before they would arrive, she would say, we really need to make X feel like a woman again. We need to make X feel super special. And I want to treat her and go get her a dress, a new dress and maybe a manicure or pedicure or whatever it was. So anyway, now really thinking back, I know this is a super long-winded answer. That is where I really started to get to know the importance of women feeling like women feeling alive, ignited, aware of their worth, aware of their beauty in all stages of life. And so I really have to thank my mom for that, for really giving that the language and the importance that it did from such an early age. And then obviously the boudoir kind of snowballed on its own.
Right.
The end.
Okay, so I'm crying for those of you who can see me. I'm crying for a few reasons. A, I feel like your mom is my spirit animal.
You've met her, right?
I've met your father. I don't think I've met your mom. Or maybe I have. I met them both when they're picking up Levi.
There she is.
Two, because I've firsthand experienced the magic of your work.
Mm.
And I was very much at that place in my life in my mid 30s, 10 years into my relationship and my, 5, 6 years into my marriage, that I needed that something, a year after having my son and 11 years after having my daughter. I needed to like revitalize myself and become confident in this new skin I was in, because I was a whole entirely new person than I was previously. So just hearing, I see that in you. I feel that in you. And I feel like that's why we became instant best friends. I experienced all of that with you on that private beach.
We've had some experiences,
We've had
Crystal.
some fun experiences. We've had a few shoots now. And
private beach.
it was. It was. And I mean, it wasn't, but it was just us. So we got there super, super early in the morning. And I became the mermaid that I always wanted to be. And I was rolling in the sand and I was dirty and there, it was magical. It was absolutely magical. I exfoliated all of my spray tan off. And
Yeah.
But honestly, when you had me over to review the photos, I was blown away. First of all, there were like a million of them. And I'm like, do I have to choose? Like, can I keep them all? And, this is coming from someone, and, just my background I mentioned previously, like I've struggled with that. I've struggled with embracing my womanhood and my curves and always kind of wanting to be more athletic and not have the softness of my female body and wanting more of the ab look. And like, why? Like the female body is so beautiful. And I think after having my son, like, wow, that's what those are like built for, and nursing again and watching my body grow and and get back to normal. And, it's a little different than it used to be. That's okay. But it really, really helped me transform not only my thoughts about myself, but just my inner intrinsic value, which I find is so valuable that this year I bought all of my girlfriends turning 40 Tutti gift certificates. And I just love that. So
I feel so, you and I talk about this all the time because you get it, and I was putting together this slideshow for you and I just realized I am so drawn, and as you see in my portfolio, I am so drawn to photos that evoke emotion.
Right.
And the specific emotion that I feel a lot of when I'm shooting and when I'm selecting images is the emotion of surrender and the emotion of vulnerability and almost like a cleansing, like a birthing almost. And so that's why I think I'm super drawn to water. I'm drawn to movement because my goal is not perfect photos. My goal is for something that evokes something, an emotion. Right. And what you're talking about, like that feeling of being in whatever stage of life and knowing that there needs to be a spark to kind of ignite something is such a powerful place to be, because once you put yourself in the place, whether through your photo shoot, through therapy, through community, once you put yourself in the place and in the mindset of like, there needs to be a shift, or there is a shift happening in me already, and I need to understand it or see it or feel it. And I feel like that's what a lot of my shoots are. It's that moment where women feel that shift and that igniting of something bigger than them, something that's already inside them. Look at how much fun we had.
We had so much fun. That's not me.
That's not you. Let's be clear.
We didn't do any sexy photos, just the fun beachy ones.
But look at that one. That to me is such an epitome of
it is
like coming of birthing.
It is the cleansing. And honestly, I used for this podcast cover as one of our photos. And for me, it's one of the most captivating photos because it was that cleansing. I was washing away pre-Brody, pre-COVID, pre-everything Crystal, and just embracing everything that is. Like not appreciating her and loving her, but like it's time for the new. And just like that, I've done it through talk therapy. I've done it through community involvement and, connecting with other like-minded souls in this stage of life. But the shoots that we've done, and I've done a couple since then, like one just, random little headshot shoot, and actually a few, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The random headshot fitness one, and then the most recent I did another boudoir, and then kind of my inner goddess after a trip, and I was just feeling all the vibes. I'm like, I don't know, we didn't get the goddess. And then I look at the pictures and I'm like, oh, we got the goddess. Like, that's her. Oh my God. And but like to see, and I feel that's why when I review my podcast too, it's like when you see yourself in these vulnerable moments, it makes you love yourself.
Mm.
And you see what other people see in you. And I think for me, that's been really impactful in my own journey. I know it has been in my own journey. And, a couple of my girlfriends, that one was very reluctant to do the shoot in the first place. But she did it. And she did it in her own way, in her own, and I had a couple more. And it's just the feedback I've gotten from them. And like, this is 40. First of all, I look back at pictures of my Nana when she was 40, and I'm like, okay, something was happening in the 80s that was aging these women, like,
seriously,
like,
they look
horrendously.
60. And
why is that? I'm like, our generation is rocking this 40 thing. Like, I'm not quite there, but I'm on my way, and I'm all right with it. I look at picture, I'm like, I could think it was like the short,
the
fluffy perms, like not
and
a good
oversized
thing. Yeah,
everything.
maybe we have better skincare now. I'm
Maybe.
not sure, but I
don't know.
love her. She was a beautiful person, but she definitely didn't look 40 at 40. Not our generation.
Yeah,
40.
I feel like my grandma looked the same. She's looked the same for about 40 years.
Right.
Right? And she's in her 80s.
I mean, right. I mean. Sorry. Oh, I love you. That's exactly right, though. Like, it's exactly. I have a sister-in-law that just turned 50, and she looks phenomenal. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'm glad we agree.
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
I don't know either.
But anyway, we're going to keep it rolling. I'm sure other people are going to be laughing with us too.
Or tuning out.
Yeah, that's okay. Anyway, back to it. But seriously, the level of confidence I know that it brought my girlfriends, because we're all at that stage. It's like, they're approaching 40, one not quite there yet. And it's just, and I feel like we all do. Everyone's, historically it's been midlife crisis, whatever. Because I think it's like, okay, well, I'm like halfway to 80. There's not really that much going on after that. So this is, I'm halfway there. Like, what do I, and and just me personally, I look at pictures of myself now at this day and age, and it's like, because I know the value and the life experiences that have led up to getting to this place, it makes me appreciate all of it so much more. So, for yourself and your work, what do you feel like? Like, do you do boudoir shoots for yourself? Do you how do you, I know you get it from shooting other people, but so how do you get that within yourself? Like, what do you, because I feel you've always, come across as a very confident, and like you said, your mother set a perfect example for you and really instilled the valueness of, the value of worthiness in women and feeling sexual and confident. And I'm just living vicariously through this women who went to visit you guys, because I do that for my friends. It's like, oh, you want to do a makeover? You want to do this? You're like, yes, let's do it. Like, I love that, because I just want people to feel good. I think it goes back to the personal training, and I've always wanted to make people feel like the best version of themselves, and that's exactly what you do. Just
I've really narrowed it down to that is exactly my why.
Yeah.
Like, why do I do boudoir? Why do I like working with women? Why? And it's that I just want women to feel really good, really beautiful. And that is a really good question about how I get it. I honestly do find myself feeling most alive in my worth when I am creating, when I'm creative, when I give myself the space. And I'll say that with a note of, I try to give myself grace to not always be creating.
Right.
So that when I do create, it's from a place of inspiration, motivation, rather than need. And so I really yearn, and I gift myself time to create for the pure joy of creating. And I also give myself the time to just rest, to take long baths, lather myself up with tons of oil while listening to music with like blue lights in my bathroom, looking at my body. Like I give myself a lot of time, me time. And that in part is thanks to the structure of my life with, you know, my son and everything. And I find that the more time I give myself to listen, to ask myself, what do I need today? The more I feel in tune with that inner confidence of approaching each day with like the exact recipe for what I need.
Right.
And so I don't know if that answers your question, but
it does.
It doesn't necessarily look like a boudoir shoot to me.
Well, exactly. But that's just it. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, we can't go do a boudoir shoot every day.
Right.
And that's exactly the answer I was looking for because, you know, I've just recently started giving myself permission to do the same thing. Like I've always wanted to do these things. And, you know, when you're young and single, it was a lot easier. And then, you know, like married, blended family, you know, all the things and life catches up. But knowing to not feel selfish in that time, to embrace it, to know that, you know, treating myself to a long bath or a massage or a energy healing or a long walk or like those are necessities in my day for me to be my optimal self as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, as a person, all the things. And it's just, you know, what does self-care look like? It looks so different for everyone because we're all such unique individuals.
Excuse me.
But I think that the important part is within everyone finding what works for them. And I mean, now I can't stop picturing you oiled up with blue lights.
It's the best.
And, like,
it's the best. Do you have...
Not to be a weirdo,
no,
but I mean,
it's so amazing. I have one of those things that changes to whatever color you want. And it's so interesting because I kind of just go through the colors, looking at myself in the mirror until I find a color that just makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
Whatever color that is. It sounds so silly, but once it's fogged up in there and the music's going.
Oh, I love it.
I swear to God, it's like a whole experience.
I'm doing this. I'm like, but I have this natural light that comes in my bathroom. Like, I need to hide. And
it doesn't matter. Just fog it up in there.
Our sauna does that. Like, our sauna has a different light. Maybe I'll turn it on.
So do it after the sauna, before the sauna?
Yeah.
Either way. That's just like, I'm not saying that is exactly what you need to do to have self-care.
Sounds pretty cool to me. I'm game.
But it's really nice. And it's inspired some shoots, which has been so fun. And so kind of being alive to that little inner voice of like, what do you want to do? What's going to feel good for you today? Like almost that childlike wonder of play.
Right.
And thankfully, my career is a little bit more conducive than your traditional 9-to-5 job to be playful and to be with my eyes open to be aware of inspiration of what's coming at me.
But you had, like you said, you created that for yourself. You realized by doing these shoots in the beginning, you know, like it was totally kind of accidental. And I think that's the most beautiful way for something to manifest in your life is to, wow, I really love this. And you know, we have a son that's a junior. He's going into his junior year. And I'm like, well, everyone, what college are you going to? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Might do this. I'm like, well, what are you passionate about? Like, what makes you feel good? Is it sports and talking to people? Is it, you know, maybe you go into like sports journalism or is it, I never really thought about that. You know, just like little ideas that it's like, because we don't know when we're 16 years old what we want to do for the rest of our life.
I feel like I just found out
seriously,
what I knew, what I want.
Seriously.
Literally, like in my 30s.
And it's okay for that. Like, it's okay to have those transitions and those pivots and for your journey to change. And, you know, I've done a lot of different things in my life and, you know, fitness has come in and it's come out and come back. But it's always, I've always had the theme of serving others in a way that I can utilize like my talents and knowledge and life experiences to help them through theirs, because I feel like that's what makes me thrive inside. And that's the whole point of this podcast, you know, sharing some things from my life, put it out there in the universe, because those are the things that I appreciated along my journey. Like, oh, wow, that inspires me. Or maybe I'll try this, or maybe I'll take a bath today, you know, like those little things. That's really what fuels me. I've never been someone that could work in an office. Like,
never.
Bless your souls for those of you who can do those types of things. I would go batshit crazy if I had to sit behind a computer all day long. Not that, you know, I know that, you know, it's by choice for some people and by desire and love for others, but I really respect those humans that can do that, because I'm not one of those humans.
Seriously. Same. I am not one of those humans either.
Yeah.
And when I do have to edit and, be a big girl and do the work, it's like I huff and puff about it.
Right.
But I'm just like, it's my business. Like, who am I complaining to?
Right. Well, that's why we're here at Max Shoe Productions, because
We
I don't
can't
have
do
the patience
everything.
to do that. We can't do it all, and that's okay. And it's not my strong suit. And, I, like you said, I want to take that time when I'm home, that intentional time to spend time with my children and to find that balance for me that really works, because I want to be that intentional mom, and not only my best self, but my best self in other people's lives too, and make sure that I'm there and intentional about it. So.
And the only way you can do that is if you are full. And I know it's such a cliche of like, put your mask on first before you help others, or fill your cup before you can give whatever. But it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you really just can't. And I think that light bulb moment comes later in life, like in your 30s. You understand that you can't sustain a life where you're the one doing everything.
Right.
And not caring for yourself. And now as a mom, I get that. I understand how easy it is once you become a mom to just have one big label that says mom, caregiver for all.
Right.
And to just forget that you are also a human being who has needs. And I think knowing and understanding and feeling that has helped me really understand the need for these photo shoots. Right. For these experiences, really, because it's just time that these women are giving themselves. It's, of course, a photo experience that produces photos, but it's mostly the feedback I get is what the opportunity gave them. It gave them the time to pause and say, oh, look, that's me. Like, I hadn't looked at myself in the mirror, essentially, figuratively for years because of work or family or husband or whatever the case.
Right.
And so it's so important, as cliche as it is, to pause every single day, if possible, for 5 minutes, even if it's just taking 5 extra minutes in the bathroom, not doing anything.
Right.
Just like quiet time. Extra, not like, don't overuse water. I'm all for conserving water. But let's be clear about
brush your teeth, turn it off, and then take the extra time.
Just lock yourself in the bathroom, for God's sake, and just like give yourself a moment to quiet everything of, I need to do this, I need to get this done, I need to do this for this person, call this person back, blah, 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 blah. It's overwhelming. And then years go by really quickly without us just seeing ourselves. And I feel super passionate about that. I feel like life is so short, and, I'm getting super meta now. Like, life is, and the span of our lives is so quick.
Yeah.
And we don't know what tomorrow brings. And to be able to freeze time, whether through photos or through being really present with yourself, is super sacred. And I don't take it lightly, because now I feel more alive in that, because I have a son and I understand the power of a legacy and of memories and all of that, and the delicacy of time.
Right.
And I feel just really aware of that. And I know this has nothing to do with Boudoir, but a lot of the work I do is that. It's just, let's freeze this moment right now. I don't care if you have to lose 5 pounds. I don't care if you feel puffy today. I don't care if you don't feel sexy. Right. Whatever, I don't care what outfits you brought. Right. Like, you are worth documenting this moment. And I wish everyone knew that. And that is why I feel passionate about this. I really just want that experience for everyone to understand that this is sacred, all of it.
It is. And, and that's life. And you touched on so many points there that just make me feel all the feels right now. And I love that we both have the same mama necklace on.
Of course we do.
I just noticed that. Capturing the moments and making the memories. Like I said, I had 2 kids 10 years apart. My daughter's 13. My son just turned 3. Since he's been born, I've been on this really deep healing journey, doing all these things, but I have made time, that intentional time. Like, I feel more powerful and I feel much more intentional in my parenting because I've been taking that time for myself. Whereas 10 years ago, 13 years ago when I had my daughter, I was working all the time. I had to, I didn't have a choice. My
Mhm.
life situation was a little different. I was training, I was teaching, and, I still spent quite a bit of intentional time with her, and she was with her dad otherwise. And, so she still got a lot of that. But she even told me, we were on our way home from a Mother's Day trip. We went to spend Mother's Day with my mom and my siblings and all of our kids. And we had so much fun. And we just rented a big beach house and hung out and grilled out. And, it was a beautiful experience. And on the way home, she's like, Mom, you've really changed a lot. And I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. She's like, you're here. I'm like, she's like, you're busy, but you're here. Like, you're here more. And she was saying, I'm more present.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's because I've been growing up, Tay. Like I've been, as you guys have been growing up, I've been growing up alongside you. And I think that that's something that as humans, we can always, it's the only thing that's guaranteed in life is change. And it's whether we resist the fact that we're growing and changing and aging and developing in different ways and really embracing that, or we have resistance towards it. And, you could compare things, and I just don't think that's fair. And it just really, it warmed my heart for her to see and acknowledge that because I've been doing a lot of work, but because I've been doing a lot of work, there's a part of me like, that mom guilt that can click on here and there. Like, oh, are you spending enough time with your kids? Are you taking enough intentional time? They don't need to go to Disney and do all the things and be scattered all the time. They just want to snuggle on the couch.
Legit.
Legit. Like they don't want, like this summer, we're not really doing big vacations. I told her that, maybe we do a little road trip, go see my pops and do a couple little things. I found this like really cool llama resort outside of, there's like a llama treehouse outside of Atlanta. Anyway.
I was going to say, not in Florida.
No, it's in Atlanta. Anyway, so found a cute little spot. So just her and Brody and I can stop and just make some memories because I realized I have 5 summers left with my daughter until she goes to college. Like that's crazy to me. So embracing and capturing all of these moments. And I don't know, I'm just very grateful to have that. I've given myself permission to take that time. And I hope that that's what people are hearing in our message here today, that like, give yourself the permission, capture the moments. Like even when we do family photos, which you've done a shoot with us for us before, even though you really specialize in more maternity headshots, stuff like that. She's not a family photographer. She's not like doing family photos, but she did one for me. But we were just running wild in our yard, going crazy. And they're the best moments. Like that's something that I feel like I've always just allowed our kids to run crazy, wild and free in photos because that's the real them. Like we could all dress the same and get in the photos. And that's not me though. That's not me. It's not me and it's not them. I want them to be their authentic selves too.
And to remember the tire swing, that they used to swing on at that tree and just I don't know. I feel like when we did that family photo shoot, it was such an expression of the real Bells.
Yeah.
It was really authentic, it seemed. And I know that word is overused, but it was very just let them be them. We'll be us. We'll see what we get at the end.
And then you look at them and you're like, oh my God, how do I choose? And it's like, but they look so cute in here, and I try to make a point to do that every year with our family, at least once a year. And I try to do it around the same time of year because essentially all of our birthday, like Matt's November, the dog's December, then Tatum's January, I'm February, Robbie's March, Drew's April. Brody, he was supposed to be May 1st, but I started doing burpees and induced labor a little too early.
I'm May, so I'm part of your family.
Right, you're part of our family.
Yeah.
But I always try to do it around April, so or May, like around that time that they've all reached their next level in their next year, and it's so fun to look back on, especially now that they're all 3 to 16 years old. It's crazy to look at the difference in
circling. And also a point on that, circling back on our previous joke about, 40-year-olds in the 80s looking like 80-year-olds. I feel like 13-year-olds now look like they're 28.
See, that freaks me a little bit.
It freaks me the F out.
Well, and have you seen those memes that are like the windbreaker and the glasses, like me in 1990,
Yeah.
and the girls now, and they're like in their crop tops and like doing their TikTok dance and like.
I mean, I still can't do those dances.
I knew every Paula Abdul, but I had to watch a lot of VH1 to get those dances down.
These girls nowadays, it freaks me out a little bit. And I posted about this.
It's terrifying. You did post about this, and you and I have had a conversation about it. Like, you don't have to put everything out there. And that's the one thing. And I actually showed my daughter my boudoir, my actual boudoir photos. And she's like, wow, Mom. And I'm like, but you're never going to see this on the internet. Like, you're never, why did you do that? I'm like, oh, I did it for me. And I explained to her just that, like, I had a baby. I wanted to embrace my body again. You know, I've struggled with eating disorders and body dysmorphia, and I've never seen my body ever the way that it's been until, honestly, I think seeing your photos. And it made me appreciate it in a way that I never have. And I don't think I'll ever go back, you know, to wanting to have this, you know, first of all, if you're a woman and you have a six pack all the time, you need to get your hormones checked. Like, because I was that woman and I have adrenal fatigue and all the things are wrecked. It's just our bodies aren't meant for that.
But what you're saying is so powerful, because it kind of goes back to what I was saying of my mom giving me the language. Right. You're giving her the language for understanding from this young age. She's not that young. She's a little girl, but she's, you know, she understands. Yeah. You're giving her that awareness of, oh, Mom wants to feel connected to her body. Right. Why is it important to feel connected to her body? Right. And you're giving her those wheels turning.
Right. But respecting it at the same time.
But respecting.
And so we had
understanding
this conversation
the
quite
context.
a bit because, you know, Mom doesn't allow her to have Snapchat quite yet because I'm not tech savvy and I don't want any more social media. So I'm not going to be the stalker mom that looks at all of her stuff all the time. I just don't have the patience for that. And bless you guys who do. It freaks me out. Like I try to tell them, like, what you put out there, like, I thank God every day I did not have social media when I was 13 years old. There's no telling you have no prefrontal cortex at that age, you know, not to mention like, you know, the cyberbullying, and it's hard enough being an adolescent as it is, but just the matter of, you know, and I tell her, I'm like, be careful, even when you're at friend's house, they're taking pictures, you don't know where they're posting them, you know, and it's just something to be aware of. And I'm crossing my fingers and holding my breath, but she's very respectful with her body and modest with her body. But then she'll wear these cute little outfits sometimes, and I'm like, well, you cute little body, like cover up. But I want her to be confident at the same time. And so I think that I, as a mom, and you know, never being a modest person myself, like I love the female body. I feel like it's really beautiful in every way, shape, and form, and I want her to be confident in any shape and size she is. And one thing she's actually mentioned to me, and I'm going to mention this on this podcast because I think it's interesting. She's like, Mom, I don't like when people call me skinny. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. She's like, what if I called someone fat? And I'm like, oh, right. Yeah.
Good point.
I'm like, good point, because it's okay to, you know, and I actually went through a phase a couple years ago where I lost a lot of weight and, you know, I think I got a little attached to it, but people, oh, you're so thin. You're so, it's like, but for me, even I felt what she was feeling, because it's like, well, I've always prided myself in having an athletic build and having muscle and, you know, having a butt and like all of these, you know, and shoulders. And I like to see the definition in my muscles and stuff. So when people would call me thin, it was like, oh, I need to go work out. And it was almost that. And it's like, so just PSA, people don't like to be called thin. Like, it's not like, oh, you're so skinny. Like, that's literally the same as, and we would never say, I hope no one would ever say, like, wow, you've gained a lot of weight. Wow, you've lost a lot of weight. But I think because we live in a society where everyone kind of historically has, and I think it's getting a lot better, and I'm glad, the body positivity and, you know, and just recognizing other forms. And it's like, why don't we just say, wow, you're really beautiful today? Exactly. Why does it have to be about their size? Why does it have to be about their shape? And I myself am really guilty of this because I think it does come from that. Actually talked with Kate Flowers about this on my last podcast. You know, she has this beautiful Zara ballet and it's all body positivity. She just told her life that, you know, she didn't have a ballerina's body. And it's like, well, what the hell is a ballerina's body? Like, it's a woman's body and I'm dancing as a woman, you know, just like this. Like, it doesn't matter what body you have. it's being confident in your body, and the words that we speak to others, I think, is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves too inside.
Mhm.
And I do share this with my daughter. Like, if someone says something to you, it's usually something that they're feeling about themselves inside. Like if, even when they're a little kid, like someone puts them down, or I'm like, maybe they're having trouble inside with that
Mhm.
situation on their own, or something about themselves that they want to change. And I've realized that and noticed that and become more aware of it in myself. Like if I say, hey, wow, you look really fit today, it's because, wow, I appreciate looking fit. And it's like, so maybe I don't compliment people that way anymore because I don't like, so it's interesting, and it's
It
just something
is.
I've been more aware of recently, and trying to just embrace the beauty of all humans and all of our shapes and sizes, and not picking myself apart for one, which is, something I'll always
We
be
all do.
right. We all do.
Mhm.
But just focusing on other things. Like, how are
Yeah.
you feeling today? Like your vibe seems really high today. Like your
Mhm.
energy feels great. Like, how have you been? More of that and less of the actual body acknowledgement
Mhm.
compliments. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I was gonna say what came to mind when you were sharing about what Tay shared with you about I don't like being called skinny.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that it has to do with the person saying that term, but I wonder if it has to also do with our attachment to that specific word.
Yeah.
Because, like, if I were to be called skinny, I'd be like, I'm completely not attached to that word because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I've never been skinny, nor do I intend to be skinny. I feel very detached. Like, skinny is a
Right.
neutral word for me.
Right.
Fat is more triggers. It
Yeah.
triggers something. So I
Yeah.
wonder if it's not necessarily about the person using the word. It's like, oh, so I wonder why, if that person called me fit, I wonder why that's triggering something in
Mm-hmm.
me. Like, and then it's like that homework and that
Yeah.
internal homework of like,
Oh,
why is
100%.
this, what is this triggering? Where did it come from? Why am I feeling XYZ about it?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's so great that you're noticing the importance of what Tay's saying, because you get the opportunity that in that moment to say, like, first of all, it's okay to be skinny.
Right.
Some people are thin,
Right.
some people are bigger.
Right.
What matters is being healthy, and you're giving her that, like, knowledge at such a
Right.
prime age for it. That is so powerful.
Right.
And so, I mean, I definitely, going back to what you were saying, like, we're so hard on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
There's days that I feel great, there's other days that I don't. And if we could just understand that it's all neutral.
It
It all
is.
is. It's all neutral. And most of the time, no one else notices the big zit we have on our face.
No one ever
No
noticed
one
it.
notices
Yeah.
like the 10 pounds we've gained.
Yeah.
No one notices any of it. Like, none of it. They
Right.
don't. They just don't.
Right.
And through my shoots, I've literally, like, some of these women are like, hey, could you just not shoot XYZ of mine? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I
Right.
don't even see what they're saying.
Right.
Like, they're like, can you not shoot my lazy eye? I was like, which one is your lazy eye? I don't know which one you're talking about. Who's told you your entire life that you have a lazy eye?
Right. Well, they probably told themselves, which is
Exactly.
the voice in their own
That's
head. And same with me.
exactly.
And like exactly what I was talking about. It's like, for so long I fixated on being fit or whatever. And it was absolutely like those triggering words or those
Mhm.
triggering comments. Um, and knowing that there's still a lot of growth left there
Mhm.
in a lot of ways.
Totally.
I mean,
I mean,
and it's
same.
right, but it's really, it's intriguing because this is the beautiful journey of life, is we all have room to learn and grow. And that's, exactly with Tatum. I'm like, the important thing is like, you're healthy, and
Mhm.
that you're respecting your body, and that you're conscious of your body, and that you love your body in all shapes and forms. We're women. Our body changes from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Mhm.
drastically sometimes. So
Mhm.
like
Very drastically. And with our
men may
moods
too, but
too.
and our moods and the time of the month and what we, but that's like, it's almost like you think of it as water. And that's why I love doing water shoots. And I've done a
Mhm.
couple with you, one shower one ocean one. And it's like, you just kind of have to learn to love the flow.
Mhm.
And I think that's just been my personal mission of just life in general, is loving the flow.
That
and learning
fluidity is invaluable.
It is.
In all aspects of our lives, if we can work with that fluidity, the day-to-day NUI that comes to you know, our relationships,
Yeah.
our moods, like if we can just approach it with a little bit more water-like
Right.
wonder, it would be less like there would be no corners. No,
Right.
like the edges wouldn't be sharp.
It would just flow.
It would flow.
It would
Exactly.
just flow. And it's like, wow.
But
it sounds so pretty. It
sounds
so pretty, but why does
water-like.
it feel so messy? It sounds so pretty.
Water goes everywhere.
And I tell you though, when I find myself being stressed or, you know, a long shower or a hot bath, and submerging myself in water really, truly is healing. And I found some really cool like serotonin soak off. It's called like Higher Dose. I think it's one of the damn Instagram.
Oh, the
things.
Higher Dose. They're in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I saw your Instagram when there was that huge storm and you were you and Brody were
playing in the rain.
That gave me such like a memory when we would be in our childhood home in Puerto Rico and it would just rain. My dad would always bring us outside, my brother and I, to play in the rain and wash our cars. Yeah. Because it's free water. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And there would be, now thinking about it, it's so gross. There was like a gutter that was broken. So it would like, it was like a waterfall coming from there. And we would just like stand there and just love it.
Yes.
Like that playfulness, but water is just, I don't know. There's something about water.
Same. Oh, it is. And that's my thing. Like I dance with my children in the rain. It's like you live in the sunshine, you thrive, you dance in the rain, you love in the moon. Like
listen to us.
All about the elements here.
Same. One other funny story that I thought of when I was young, probably Tay's age, I was in gymnastics. Actually, I was younger. And I loved gymnastics. And I was pretty good at it. But I didn't have a gymnastics body, you know, a gymnast's body. And I don't know, you know how like looking back at time or at your childhood, you don't understand whether it was like I took gymnastics for 2 months or 2 years. Right. I have no clue.
Right.
But all I know is it was short-lived because the coach or the trainer allegedly, you know, my parents told me this years and years later when I was an adult, pulled them aside and was like, you should probably just take her out. Like she doesn't have the body for a gymnast and just essentially like get her out of here, which to me is hilarious. But I remember at one point, because I was aware of my body, and by no means was I quote unquote fat, you know, but I
got some curves though.
Yeah, I was always healthy, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember asking my dad shortly after, hey, Papa, like, am I fat? And he goes, no, sweetie, you're strong. And I just remember that's like kind of like a joke now in my family. I'm like, if anyone calls me strong, I know what they're talking about.
You have the best legs and you have really strong legs. So I'm like obsessed with your legs. And every time you post them, I'm like, oh.
I love my legs.
You have really beautiful legs.
I mean, I worked hard for them. All those years of volleyball, weight training.
Right. But see, that's exactly, okay, where my eating disorder came from. I was a gymnast off and on for a lot of my childhood, you know, and flipping and like, you know, you flip and you fall. It's like, well, what did you eat today? So I learned to like associate food with the way I looked and the way I performed, almost like it's like the worthiness thing. And, you know, I think you forever recover from that stuff. And whoever these assholes were.
Who are these assholes?
Who are these people? And why are they doing? And the sad thing, I do love to see that is changing in our world, though. And I think it's great, even though I loved and idolized all of the supermodels. Same. You know, we had dream team supermodels when we were kids, and I loved them. You know, but I love that that's opening up and branching out and that it's just way more body positive and we're loving all different shapes and sizes and all the things. So that makes sense.
I mean, I think it's hilarious.
I know. I will never call you strong, I promise.
You're strong, honey.
I have to see a picture of little Tutti now.
I looked normal. You know, I looked like a normal, like, little girl.
Right.
I wasn't like the smallest. I wasn't the biggest.
Right.
I was
Well,
just.
and I was pretty tall for gymnastics too. I think it was like 5'4" when I quit, but then I grew like 3 inches. I'm 5'7" now, so it's
You and I are the
interesting.
same height. We always forget this.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad. I think I'm glad I did gymnastics for a while. My brother's like 6'4", my cousin's like 6'4", my girl cousin's like 6'1". I mean, they're all beautiful, tall people, but
Do you think you would have been taller?
probably, but I'm good at 5'7".
Yeah, 5'7" is
I think it's perfect.
great
height.
height.
I like my height.
I like my
Yeah,
height.
I like it.
Yeah.
To wear heels.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Short enough to not be like intimidating.
Yeah.
Tall enough to be a little intimidating.
Yeah. All the great things. All the important things.
I'm glad we're really ending on a very important.
I think it's great. I mean, honestly, though, it's all about having fun. Like sitting, and that's why I love this. Like, I have this beautiful network of mostly women in my world, but I was like, oh, I should probably get a guy to come on sometime and talk about his stuff.
I'm intrigued who you would choose.
I actually talked to Brian.
I just spoke to him this morning.
Oh,
such a nice guy.
He's so sweet.
Such a nice guy.
Sweet, and I love him and Gigi both.
Adore them.
Yeah.
Like just really admire them.
Yeah.
And
so because she was a big pivotal part of that too, because I had done her GFIT program
right before
and
our
at the
shoot.
end of her program is when I did the shoot, and I'm like, I'm doing this for myself. I stopped nursing. I'm getting my body back, and you know, and I mean, her coaching and everything I went through with the GFIT program every day was huge into getting me into like self-care. Do this for you. I invested in myself, and I haven't really looked back. So I would love to have her on, or both of them on at the same time.
That would be fun to have both of them.
Yeah, because I think we have room for like several people in
perfect.
here. But anyway, we're rambling now.
Yeah.
What else? What else can we cover in our last few moments here? And, you know, confidence and vulnerability. Oh, so one thing I want to ask you, like women coming into your shoots and then women reviewing their photos. And I love that when you review the photos, you do the raw, unedited version, because I was like, wow, these are great. You spent so much time, and you're like, I haven't edited it at all. And I'm like, wow, it's a really good spray tan.
It's so hard to just give yourself that
credit.
compliment,
like, wow,
right?
It's me.
Yes. It's not the tan.
No.
It's not me.
Right.
That's you.
Right.
So just accept it.
It's still hard.
It's still hard. You're like, no, that's the tan.
Yeah. I mean, it's part.
Right.
It's part tan.
Tan helps.
You have beautiful olive skin. You don't understand. No, I'm just kidding.
Stop.
So the difference, like, what do you see? And have you ever had someone that was just totally upset with their shoot and wasn't happy with it?
In 12 years, never.
And I love that.
Never, ever. No. Everyone's, and I really don't want to sound arrogant at all, but
Right.
I have only blown people away
Right.
with this work. No one has ever been like, oh yeah, these are nice. Most, I would say 99.9% of them have said, I just can't believe that's me.
Right.
I have literally never seen myself in this way, or I've never thought I was sexy. I never thought I was beautiful, or is that me? Wait, did you retouch these? Did you edit these? That's literally the comments that I always get. And so from when I meet someone, meaning they reach out to me for a photo shoot and we have our chat, to us reviewing the photos, it's a 180. Yeah. It's just a complete mind-blowing product that I have delivered in terms of their perspective on what they look like. Because they come to me and the script in their heads is, I'm not sexy. I'm doing this because A, I need a gift and I've been told this is a good idea. Or B, going back to our initial chat, I just feel like I need something in order to ignite something. And so they come to me for this. And so with the disclaimers, I don't know how to be in front of a camera. I'm super awkward. I'm super uncomfortable. I've never done this before. They give me all the disclaimers.
Right.
No one's ever taken a good photo of me. I don't like the way I look. I don't like my butt. I don't like my hips. I don't like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, don't worry, I got this. You're in good hands. So obviously there's a lot of coaching before the shoot. There's a lot of guiding and positive coaching during the shoot.
And I
And
love
then
the way you coach the movement.
I
And
coach,
the movement's key.
yes,
Because not
keep
only is it
moving.
therapeutic, because it's like dancing. It's like a movement with your
Yes.
body, and that's how you find that sensuality. And
Yeah, and that's why I encourage women to just close your eyes for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like kind of listen to the music and feel the music and move a little bit. Don't worry about the camera. I got the camera, and I'll take the best photos of you. And if I don't, I won't show those to you.
Right.
You know? And so from that first inquiry and conversation to when they're looking at the photos of, I just can't believe this is me. I feel like it's like a birthing of a new woman with a new perspective about herself. And look, that's Lindsay.
Oh, I love that.
So beautiful.
The baby. And I love your maternity shoots. I know we talked more about Boudoir, but the maternity shoots that you do are just
they're so
incredible.
Special. Thank you. I really love them. And I put the slideshow together and I was like, oh my gosh, I have a lot more maternity. So I had to add a lot more boudoir because I just love maternity. I feel like it's such a prime moment for a woman to not only capture her belly, but that moment before she becomes a different person.
Yeah.
As you and I know, like it's once you give birth, you do transform.
Yeah.
Whether it's immediate or years later, you realize like, wow, that really was a turning point. And for a lot of us, the hormones don't let you get to that understanding for a couple years after.
Right.
At least that was my experience. But being pregnant is not only a miracle in itself, but it's such a figurative, just divine moment where 100%. You're not just giving, it's so cliche, you're not just giving birth to your baby. You're really
it's
just.
It's a whole new you.
It's a whole new you.
And every time you do it, it's a whole new you. And it's a whole new you. I have a girlfriend that has like 6 kids. She said 6 kids in 8 years. She's got a lot of whole new hers.
That's a lot.
But she carries herself. So she's just taken this opportunity to tap into her divine feminine in a way that is so beautiful. And I love her. I should have her on sometime.
Give me one example of what makes you feel that she carries herself with that groundedness.
She's been openly, I'm embracing this time with my children. I'm learning how to make sourdough bread in my kitchen. I'm taking intentional time with each kid, whether it's letting one paint my nails or and finding time for her and her husband. Like she's embracing it and knowing that, being realistic with herself, not forcing herself to get back into some crazy shape. It's like embracing the changes in her body. She's nursing and she's recovering. And I think that that's something postpartum, and I would love to have a whole segment about postpartum sometime. We are so hard on ourselves. This time around, I was much more healthy about it than I was the first time. Because I realized, and I think it was a big difference, was I would nurse my son much longer than I did. And the world was shut down, so I didn't really have any options. I didn't have much to do.
As well.
I didn't have much to do anyway. But I took it slower. I wasn't pressuring myself. I enjoyed the extra, fluff or weight or whatever, like the curves, whatever you want to call it. Like it wasn't, I didn't feel like my optimal self, but that was my optimal self. Like I was nurturing a human. And that's what our bodies are really made to do. So whether it leaves a couple marks here and there or, causes things to shift and change and, get a little higher, get a little lower, like whatever. I feel like the more we can embrace just the beauty in that, I will really, again, set the tone for those generations. Like love your body through all the stages because it's constantly changing. But not only your body, but your mind and your mental state through that. Because the times I've had the most fit, lowest body fat percentage, I was the most mentally unhealthy I've ever been. So it's really going back to taking that time for ourselves, nurturing our whole self, whether that be by a photo shoot or I would love to, and I know we've mentioned this before, I'm throwing it out there to the universe, to all of the universe. We really need to get together and do some kind of like women empowerment workshop. I would love to talk all things, and kind of do a Q&A, like what fuels people and learn, because you can learn things. Like I learned how to take a really cool oily bath in blue light today. Like this is really cool, because you can get fun ideas that like, oh, I could do that. And I could take 20 minutes to do that. And I just think it's so important for us to connect and network as a community, not only to women, men too, whatever, I just feel like more specifically geared toward that realm right now of just empowering that best divine feminine and pulling that out, because I feel like we live in such a masculine type society where we need to be working, we need to be having all these goals, and like, what is really success? Well, like, guess what? Like I was saying, my girlfriend, like, success to her is making sure she spends intentional time with all 6 of her children and making a really wholesome, nurturing dinner for them. That's success. And it is absolutely success, just as much success as her husband working all day, you know, and that's something I think in our society, again, I think it's shifting, but I think we still, as I know me as a woman, I still have that need to, like, I need to be doing something, you know, that little voice can click on sometimes, like I need to be doing something to feel worthy, or no, like, take a step back, do something that serves your purpose, do something that fuels your inner fire. I did the solar plexus yoga last night, and like we did you have to come meet sometime.
Like twisting?
Yeah, we did like these twists and turns, and some of them were
a little sore.
Yeah, but I'm a little sore today. But it was empowering, and the solar plexus is all about like fueling your inner fire and that inner confidence. And I find it ironic that it happened to land last night, and I had no idea. Like, it was fun when I started going to a yin yoga class, and we started on root chakra, and then we went to sacral, and then we're solar plexus. So we're going up in the chakras. So
that's exciting.
It's so exciting. But it was really just ironic that it was the day before our chat, which is all about this, like finding that inner confidence, not in an ego way. You know, there's a way to be confident and purposeful and proud without having the ego attachment in it. And I think that that's really the beauty in all of these situations, because these ladies go in, whether it's maternity or boudoir, and, you know, and so vulnerable and like hesitant, but then they come out feeling so powerful and worthy and beautiful. And I think that that's just something that I am just blessed to know you, blessed to have experienced this with you. And I hope that this sparks interest in others and you get all kinds of requests.
Me too. But, you know,
because it's just worth the experience. Or with your husband, like you do couple shoots too.
I do.
You do men's shoots too, right?
I do, Crystal. I do. I don't want to talk about that. But I do couples, and I love doing couples. And I decided that when I'm doing more couple work now, I'm going to open it up to be less in the bedroom, sexy, in your face, more, because it's not about that for me.
Right.
You know, people do reach out to me for that, but I'm not interested in that, so I'm not doing that.
Right.
I'm more interested in connection, intimacy, and love. Those are my 3 things that I'm interested in when it comes to couples.
Right.
And I want to capture that. And I would love to capture that, like, you know, in the beach. I would love to capture that in someone's home, in the kitchen.
Right.
You know,
in the kitchen cooking,
like being
having a glass of wine by the pool or whatever it is.
By no means an engagement looking shoot.
Yeah,
nothing.
Yeah. It's something authentic and just real, like real life stuff, like shooting them in their moments. Because like we're saying, like, yes, it's important for us to capture these moments for ourselves, but it's important for us to capture those moments with our partners.
Yeah.
Like, because we don't see that. Like, we don't see the cute little ways we're looking at each other when the kids are doing stupid things or, you know, or making us laugh. Like, we don't get to see that from a bird's eye view. So I think that is a beautiful, I would love for you to come do one of those for Matt and I.
So fun. We're doing that. We've talked about that for a long time.
We're
doing
talked about all the things. So we need to do that.
We do need to do that. It's so fun. Like, honestly, if I had a partner, I wish someone would do that for me, because those are the precious moments that, like you're saying, you don't get to see for yourself unless you're a weirdo and video yourself and, you know, stuff like that. Which, I mean, honestly, no judgment. do what you want.
Do you?
Yeah, do you. Anyway, couples work is so fun. Men boudoir is fun as well in its own unique way. And oh, actually, I just had a phone conversation with a new client who contacted me, but she contacted me for her fiance. She wants her fiance to do a boudoir shoot with me for her wedding gift.
I love that.
And I love it. She sent me the inspo. She found it on a TikTok or something. Apparently, grooms are doing this now. And I'm just
Oh.
like, hell yeah, you get yours. Like,
So like
but they look very different.
I was just saying, what?
No, they're not in lingerie or naked. They're
I mean, not that it's funny, whatever. Do you?
Right. Do you? It's more like a shoot you would see in GQ.
Like
Calvin Klein.
GQ. Okay.
Or like, a white button down that's just open and, he's sitting, with
Should McMahon do one of those? He would be.
They're fun.
He would be like wickedly uncomfortable.
Kind of like the stuff I've done with Brian.
Yeah.
Open shirt. I mean, he doesn't like to wear a shirt anyway. It's not like I'm forcing him to not wear a shirt. Let's be very clear.
I think you guys are all going to get stalkers after this talk, by the way. Sorry in advance. You probably don't have him anyway, but Tutti's going to have oily blue light people looking for her.
They're like, lights on, guys. I can see it's blue. We know what she's doing.
I love it, but it's important for men too. Because we talk about women, but men need the confidence too. I think that
more so than we think.
Oh, 100% more so than we think. And I think, that's something that, they need. And I think that that's just something what happens when people are in relationships. And that's how infidelity happens. Like they seek confidence from someone else. And it's like, we can make that happen.
Yeah.
In the same roof and the same thing. We just have to be creative about it and taking that time for themselves. But again, I think it's that what is success? Them working and going and having a certain lifestyle. But no, you can still take time for yourself and do things that fuel you and do things that make you feel sexy and whatever it is. And just, So.
And to wrap that point, I think it's super important to understand that the fluidity, the feminine energy that happens individually and in a partnership, the feminine energy, and I think we forget this, is to receive.
Right.
And so whatever our society dictates as success is very masculine.
Right.
It's very proactive. It's instead of receiving, it's giving, it's doing, it's achieving, it's rigid, right? And so in a partnership specifically, in order to bring that energy balance, not just women, but both partners need to understand that there needs to be a giving and receiving.
Right.
Sometimes women can take on that masculine energy and then kind of go back. And there could be that fluidity between the partners. And just individually as women, if you're not in a partnership, just know that it's really important to, yes, do the things, achieve the things, have the goals. But also there needs to be that balance of receive, nurture, like surrender.
Right.
And that is equally powerful. I think we mistake that energy for being weak or lazy or I don't know what other word, but it's not. It's like there needs to be both. And I feel like much of what's going on in the world is because there's such a massive imbalance.
Yep.
And we're not understanding that this other side of feminine energy needs to be like, there needs to be a lot more of it in order for us to kind of balance out.
And I feel that's what this uprising is. I feel like there are certain demographic of women kind of coming to surface right now. I don't know. I feel like it's happening in my inner circle and in my world and in my life. And I love that. And putting all of this good, awesome juju out there for people to hear, I think is exactly what we need, because I've struggled with that. Like, I feel like I need to be doing something. I need to be motivated. I need to be working out. I need to be, all these things to feel like, no, that's all masculine energy, all masculine energy. And every energy healer I've ever gone to is like, you need to work on your divine feminine, because if I'm not open and willing to receive, how's my husband going to be able to accept the flow? Like, if my masculinity is competing with his masculinity, like, who's going to be the feminine one? Like, who's going to be open to receive? And I mean that in all areas of the game here. And so it's like,
seriously.
And that's what happens. And I think that we can, just societally get into this like almost like survival mode where we feel like we need to be doing all the time. But if we take that time and relax and we can all be kind of open to the flow, then the world would just be, we just solved the world's problems.
We just did.
We just did.
We cracked the code.
Yeah, well, that's a wrap.
On that note.
honestly, though, this is an awesome conversation.
It really
and
was.
I love you. I love spending time with you. We really do need to do a divine feminine workshop.
I would love that. And that's been on my heart for a long time.
Same here.
Yeah.
And I want to get like a group. Let's get a group of us together and we can each kind of add a little something and do like share, and then everyone gets a photo shoot.
Yeah. I am envisioning like a workbook.
Like a retreat. Yeah. We should really like, that's okay. Mark us.
Done.
We're doing a retreat. Anyone interested? Let us know.
Where should we go? Here or?
We'll start here.
Or like
we'll start here.
Croatia, Bali, Greece.
That sounds fantastic.
We'll grow. We'll grow.
We'll grow. We're going to grow this retreat. We're going to be mobile.
Yeah, because that's what we need. Another thing.
Another thing to do. I love you.
Such an honor being here, Crystal.
Oh, thank you for being here.
I love you so much.
Love you too.